Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Express, which is becoming everyone's favorite talk show. It is profoundly real and interesting, so without any further delay, please help me welcome back to the stage the beautiful and expressive director of Express, Carolyn. Carolyn, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's Express, your show, your host, Carolyn. Welcome. Welcome to my show again. For those who've been here all along following me, you know what we do. We share, we like, we subscribe. Why do we do that? We do that so others, we're not selfish, so that others can be inundated with the content from Express. For those who are visiting or first time, thank you so much for being here. I hope this won't be the first and it won't be the last. Yes, you will continue to come. So you've got to do the same thing. You've got to share, like, and subscribe. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I am about to introduce to you my guest for the day. And his name is James D. Figeroux. He was born and raised in Jamaica, and his parents, his mother, Joyce Evadne Shakespeare Figaro, she was a matron and an RN, retired at age 40. His dad, late Dennis Antonio Figaro, he was a general construction worker for David Matalon. Mr. James Figaro, he attended the Meadowbrook Prep, then went on to St. Richard's Primary, where he passed his common entrance to attend the Calabar Health School. Both his parents were staples in his community, and he was reared just the same. However, things changed. His mother became very ill, and life changed for him. At first, it would seem for the worst, but he knew that Jehovah God was planning a great part in his life. Fast forward, he is a financial coach. He has a team up, he has teamed up with other firms and business partners, and he is now running the group Finbus, Finbus Group, INC. They help families establish their own business from scratch, and they provide assistance through the whole process, even in finding funding. He also handles their full back office, including tax preparation and bookkeeping service. Without further ado, let us welcome Mr. James Figaro.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? How are you, Carolyn?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm absolutely fine. Just great to see you, James, and to
Same
know
here.
that
Same here.
you actually got the time to come and sit with me and have a conversation. I really, really do treasure that because most of my guests, they're busy, busy people, and you are just the same. So welcome. Welcome to
Thank
the
you.
show.
Thank you.
Good, good. So I would just like to find out how was your morning this morning?
Well, I'm alive. I'm here. So God is very merciful. Um,
Yeah.
that being said, I'm just really, really happy, and just happy to be here. To get a chance to share my story.
Yes, yes. From your bio, I could see that your parents were very distinctive people in the community.
Yes, they were very.
Yes,
As a matter of fact, they were one of the first people that actually was in that neighborhood. They
Oh,
built the first house there, actually. So
mm,
they were the core foundation. And like you see, my mom retired really, really early at age
yes.
40.
She was an
Um,
artist.
she was an RN and a matron at the hospital. I think it was Long Island um, Hospital in Long Island. So, because I looked back at some of her records and I saw that, when I
Okay.
went down to clean out the house, you get a lot of the information, so many things you don't know.
Mm, mm. So, um, what? your parents, do you think you're following their footsteps? And who do you find you're emulating a lot?
Well,
Or
I'm
not
actually not following my parents' footsteps.
no?
My dad's intention was I was supposed to be a doctor. He felt
Oh,
anything less than that was not worthy, and
oh,
so my dad's perspective was very, very different. My mom, as all mothers, they're understanding,
yeah,
and they're supportive, and they go along with whatever, they feel. I mean, of course, she was very opinionated, but at the same
yeah.
time, she created a lot of balance. And my mom was, I miss her so much. I really do.
Mhm.
That was my best friend. Not saying I don't love my dad, but
Yes, we
as
understand.
boys,
Yes,
mom
boys
and
and
dad,
mommies. Yes,
yeah,
you don't get
but
between
as
them.
boys, with their dads, they always run away from their dads because of the discipline, and because
Yeah,
they as you're growing up, you think your dad is just mean, but it's not that. It's they're really trying to prepare us for life.
yes,
But sometimes it's the way they go about it. It can come off very abrasive.
yes, that's
And I'm so glad I could actually look back in retrospect and
mhm.
see that my dad's intentions were really pure. He wanted the best for me, but he did. That was his way of communicating. It was very harsh. It was very rough. And many times I resented it. But when I look back now, it makes me appreciate it. That look, he was doing the best that he can. And that's
Yes,
all we do as parents. We don't have a handbook. On
mm,
being parents.
yes, yes, that is
Now,
true.
so now you say, well, so let's go to the second part of that question. So no, I'm not following what they're doing, but what I am doing though, I,
Or their high standards, maybe that's how I should maybe
right. So
put it.
well,
So whatever you
I
do,
don't. In my opinion, I don't think the standard has been lowered, and the reason why I say this is, as long my mom obviously was a nurse, so that means she was taking care of people. My dad worked for David Madelon. He was one of his main general contractors. I mean, he helped build up Fort Moore, with the Benny shells. I don't know if you remember those. My dad had a lot to do with that to help Madelon do a lot of diversification to Jamaica. So he played his part. So when I look at what I do now, I'm in a subservient position, meaning I have to help other people. So we all have to create a service to help others in order for us to succeed. And
yes,
really and truly, and you know, we have to, more or less understand that the only way that we can truly get success is by helping others.
right.
We cannot be selfish, and the problem is because of fear. We fear that there's not enough. We fear that there's lack. We fear all these things. God did not create a spirit of fear, and I hate to go into religion, and
Yes,
again, I
yes,
apologize, but He created us to be very strong beings, and He created us to depend on Him. That being said,
yes, yes, yes. So you're doing what you're doing, and you're keeping it at that high standard. I know that for sure. You're
I
doing it
try
with
my
all your
best.
heart and dedication.
Yes,
Dedication.
I do try my best.
Yeah, so that's the main thing. What about your siblings?
Well, so my brother died at childbirth, so I never really had siblings to say.
And 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 and, and you're twins, you said?
Yeah, we're twins. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
he came
So
out first. He came out first, and I came out second, but he didn't survive.
he didn't survive. I'm sorry. Okay, so you have brothers and sisters?
Other than that, no.
Other
That's it.
than that, no. Okay, yeah,
That's
good.
it.
All right. So now, your only child, do you find it lonely sometimes?
Oh yeah, as an older. Well, it's funny you say that. Because of my parents were older parents, they were very, very strict,
Okay.
and especially my dad. He dealt with an iron fist. And again, I can understand, but at the same time, I just wish he had more flexibility. And, this is a learning tool for me because I have kids. And so I have to use, that knowledge, that experience that I have. so that I don't make the same mistakes.
Mistakes.
Um, so that being said, no parent's perfect. Would I have dealt with things a little differently? Maybe I would have, but I do understand, and those times were different. But as I said, they were older, so my mom could not have children; she was barren. So I found out that it was an arranged situation. Who would have known back in the 60s and 70s? Because I'm born in 1972. Who would have known that that even existed, even in Jamaica? That was even, you'd always thought that would happen in the US, but that happened in Jamaica. My parents, obviously, as you could tell, had the words to do that, and that's what they did. So I had a surrogate that carried me because my mom couldn't carry me and carried me and my brother. And of course, as I said, he died. He came out first. He died, and I was a survivor. Um, and I'm really hoping I'm answering your questions. I apologize.
Yes, yes, you are. You are greatly. You are doing so. So, let's move on now to school.
Yeah. So I started off at Meadowbrook Prep. So I started off at prep school. I don't know if you're familiar with Meadowbrook. It's in St. Andrew. And then I left Meadowbrook, went to St. Richard's because I was raised, Roman Catholic, obviously. And while going to St. Richard's, they prepare you for your common entrance at the time. I know they call it something different now, but at that time it was common entrance. And, I had worked really, really hard, to make sure I passed, and I did. I had an opportunity to go Wilmers High or Calabar High. And so obviously Calabar was closer to home, so that's why I went there. And as you could tell, Calabar was always good for the boys' champs. They always had a lot of the best good teams, if you know what I mean. So great school. I have no regrets with it. It was just a different time.
Okay. Now, so when did you actually decide to come to United States?
Okay,
What happened, really?
Well, so my mom had gotten ill. We had found out that she had stomach cancer. This was in 1989.
Right.
I explained to you, obviously for boys, the mothers are always their best friends and
Yes.
their confidants, and that was my mom. When she got ill, I was really praying and hoping that she would have a full recovery, but Jamaican parents, they back at that time, they always hide stuff from us. They hide how we were born.
Yes.
Oh, you came from the store. They, when it came to
even so they do, trust me, even up to 2023. Go ahead.
So she didn't want to tell me, it was terminal, but it was obvious. She was at Andrew's memorial. I remember she saying to me, you and your dad bump heads a lot, and she was really, really concerned, and she asked me to humble myself, be more humble so that I could get along with my dad. I remember my dad had one of his episodes at the hospital, and it was really frightful. I almost felt like he wanted her to die, but again, people grieve differently.
Yes.
So I don't want to judge, but it threw me off. On my dad's job site, my dad had introduced me to a neighbor, and the neighbor had at that point, a helper that was working there, and she seemed to be very attentive to my dad. Well, unbeknownst to me, it would seem as if my dad and this lady had a relationship prior to my mom dying. And that already started resent because 2 weeks after my mom died, my dad had told me, we had a conversation, and he was like, oh, well, we're going to need help. So I'm going to have somebody coming, to help take care of the house. Now, we brought her. Again, she's 1 year older than me. I'm 17, she's 18. And you could tell that they obviously had a relationship that was going on, and the foolishness started, where she was accusing me that I was interested in her, and she would tell my dad this, and my dad's older, so that created jealousy, and it created a lot of animosity, and so she was actually playing both sides. I already knew what her intentions were, and at one point my dad tried to shoot me to kill me. Um, over the matter. At one point, the scar that I have on my head here was from
Yes.
his dad, because he wanted to show her that he was the man of the house and he was displaying his dominance. And upon those three situations, I realized it came really, really close. And then one situation, which was the fourth, my dad threw a 30-pound Vulcan hammer at me, and I caught it, and I was going to throw it back, and I stood there for a moment, and I thought, and I said, you know, life's too precious. You know, I could see that, with what she was doing, it wasn't going to end well. So I had to make a decision, and so I decided to go to my dad's sister, who was in the States. She lived in Roselle, which is outside of Newark. And when my dad found out I was getting ready to leave, he tried to block that, and had told me at the time that he would disinherit me. I would not have a legacy, and I just, at that time, you had to weigh your thoughts, and I said, well, you know what? If it means you disowning me and disinheriting me, that's going to give me peace of mind, and you'll be alive, and I'll be alive. Maybe it's worth it. So I walked away, and sometimes when we walk away, we not realize that we jump from the pot into the fire.
Okay.
So then I got to my aunts, and my cousins were drug users. My aunt was an alcoholic, and they all used to abuse me, and they abused me mentally. Try to tear me down. You're no good. You're acting like you're better. You're just adopted. You're not their real child. They were just being mean. But I, I'm pleased. I'm not trying to make this a religious thing, but I can say that God really carried me through that. I had no other option. I mean, yeah, I got depressed just like anybody else, but you can't stay there. You can't stay there. It's not a place to stay. It's not a place to live, because that can consume you. So I got to my aunts, and as I said, you asked me earlier about jobs. What did I do? I did everything I could, because I couldn't depend on family there. They provided me a place to stay, which was in the basement. And those conditions were another story, but at least I had some place to stay, and I made the best of it. And I remember, one night I remember I came home. I was, I'm sorry, my phone was ringing.
That's okay. That's okay. Go ahead. Answer the or do what you have to do, because I know you're a businessman.
So I remember I used to cut lawns. That was the very first thing I did. So I borrowed my aunt's lawnmower, and I knew that she would charge me rental on it. So instead of her having to ask me, I used to give money, contribute, buy food, and I thought I was doing the right thing, but they didn't know any better. So I had to forgive them. And life is, whether we realize it or not, life is about forgiveness. You have to forgive. Why I say that? Because I'd resented my dad for so long, and he died, and I never got a chance to let him know I forgave him, because at that time I didn't. And that's hard when you have that resentment and you haven't forgiven. The forgiveness is not for them. The forgiveness is for you, so that you can move on. You can grow. So I learned from that also, and that's why, I forgave my aunt. I remember she used to really take disadvantage of me, and her sons are home, they're shooting up. I watched my son, my cousin shoot up in between his toes and his arms and under his fingernails. I mean, just any way in which they could get the drugs, they just had to do it, you know. So I had to forgive him. He abused me, you know, and as I said, life is a lot about forgiving because
Mm.
that's the only way that we can move forward.
I'm glad you're emphasizing that, you know. I really am glad you're emphasizing that because yes, you can have your struggles, your challenges, but you're gonna get a place where you don't have them anymore. But what are you gonna live with it in your heart? Because that thing can eat you like cancer.
Well, that's what causes cancer. You know,
Yes,
we don't realize that, but it's all these little things that eat away
yes,
at us internally, and
yes.
they create sickness in
Diseases,
us.
yes,
And
diseases.
and listen, you know, he gives us life, and I want to live it to its fullest, and I want to get everything that I'm supposed to get.
Yes, yes. And not forgiving can really take that away from you, huh?
Absolutely, it can shorten your life.
Yes,
Absolutely, no question of a doubt.
yes,
So that was really, really important.
yes. So a
I
part
remember
of,
one night,
go ahead.
I came home and the house was being raided. I don't know if you know what that feels like. Just pulled up, got out the car, and somebody's telling you to get on the ground. And I'm like, well, what's going on? Because I saw all these people outside and I didn't know what was going on. And they
Uh-huh.
said, get on the ground. And then I heard another person come over, are you James Figeroux? And I'm like, how does he know my name?
Hey, wow.
And it was the one that was running the SWAT that was doing the raid. And he said to me, I've been watching you from the time you got here. And I know you have nothing to do with any of what's going on. So, what I want you to do is I'm going to give you 2 weeks to get out of here. If I see you after 2 weeks, I will feel that you are a part of this and I will take action.
Wow.
So
Mercy. I can't imagine the emotions.
I was aweless. I
Wow.
was in awe because he knew my name. He told me that he'd been watching me. He knew I had nothing to do with anything. He
Mhm.
knew it was because of my circumstance, but he felt I could have done better.
Wow.
And he was telling me to get out.
Wow.
I
And
mean,
of
it
course
don't
you
get
did. How
it
fast
don't
did you
get
get out? Did you take 14 days or one day?
it was a week,
It was a week. Oh God.
1 week.
That was a blessing in disguise.
That it was. That it was.
Yes.
It was
Because we
big time.
wouldn't be having this conversation, maybe not.
No, we wouldn't. No, we wouldn't. Things would
Yeah,
have been a little different.
different. So then you were mowing the lawns, and
Yes.
what else? Tell me some of the
And then
other things you did.
after I was mowing lawns for a while, I was trying for different jobs, but I couldn't get back in the computer field because my technology from Jamaica was not recognized here. You needed to be obviously more advanced
Hmm.
here to get back into the computer field. So it's either I was going to take the route of school at the time, and I wasn't ready for that. So I decided to take another route. A friend of mine introduced me to a company. Their name at the time was called Kirby. They were Kirby
Oh
vacuum
yes, I
cleaners.
remember Kirby.
Yeah.
Yes.
So um, she had introduced me. They had brought me, and I knew nothing about sales. Um, I was just young and green, but I wanted to do something, and I knew I had to get out the house. And
Mhm.
so the gentleman that hired me at the time, he showed me a couple things. I sold a couple vacuums, but then he cheated me. And I'm just like, one roadblock after the other roadblock, and it's just like, well, what's going on? So anyhow, I ended up quitting that, and then another person who, you never know who's you just never know who's watching. This guy had been watching me the whole time, but he was successful at doing Kirby, very, very successful.
Okay.
And he was upstairs. I was working downstairs. He was working upstairs. Never really used to talk to me or anything, but he used to watch me. And he saw my determination. One day he called me. I was even surprised that he got my phone number, but he had gotten it from the gentleman that I quit with.
Yes.
And he said, he saw potential in me. He trained me, developed me. And he's still a very good friend in my life today. He also helped save me, because he was like my surrogate father. He just took a liking to me, and he just put everything that he had. So I and him went on the journey. I did Kirby for over 15 years, and I was
Wow.
very good at it. I had my own franchise, um, and then I realized, forget I got sick. That's what it was. I'd gotten sick, so I'd stopped doing Kirby. Bought my house, even with Kirby money,
Mhm.
like in
You,
2005.
you did a
And
lot of people's carpet, right?
that I did. That I did. That I did.
You had to,
And
and
it was
that's
in
the
those,
secret. That's the secret, isn't it?
yes, it
Is
is.
to do as many
As
as
many as
you
you
can.
can. As many
This
as you
is
can.
how I'm going to put it: to solve as many problems
As you
as
can.
you can.
Well, you see, I
Meaning,
got so good at it. I got so good at it that if I didn't sell it, I was shampooing their carpets and making money. So
well,
I
you solving a problem. The carpets are dirty, right?
exactly. So, but it's funny. We become creative,
Yes.
and so I learned that, and that's how I really learned how to talk to people. I used to knock doors and you know do what I had to do, in order to make ends meet. And I regret none of it. Yes, I've lost apartments. I've had my car repoed. I'm not happy about that, but those were all learning lessons. That needed to have that. In order to become successful, you know, you have to go through to come out on the other side. How else are you going to teach other people if you don't go through those things? When you bring somebody in and you're training and developing, they're going to be going through those things also, and it's you teaching them to not look at the cup as half empty but as half full.
Cool. Mm, wow. So I know you've done many other things. What else do you want to mention right now?
Well, the most I want to mention right now is what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of financial coaching, and we do a lot of taxes. We're taking on a lot of tax clients. We do full back offices for clients, but what we mainly do is we take the average Joe who has a goal and a dream, and they want to make something, and they don't know anything about business. And between my partner and myself, we have around 100 years of experience,
Mm,
and that is what we leverage to help people and families. So we use that area of expertise, and so we guide them so that they do not make the mistakes that I made, why I failed different times. We use the failures from my partner, so that they don't make the same mistakes. Now, of course, knowledge is something you have to pay for, and here's the challenge: people want your knowledge, but they don't want to pay for it.
mm,
And what they don't understand is, you can't argue with them, and you're not supposed to argue with them. You're supposed to educate them, and what I've realized is we live in a world where everything is instant,
mm.
and anything long term to create true success will never be instant. It has to be work, 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 work consistently, and then the blessing comes. A
Yes.
lot of
Yes.
people don't understand that. They want instant success because they see that on the internet and they feel that that's what they should have. So they're not willing to make the sacrifices and do what is necessary to make the success happen. And so I believe that's where a lot of people get lost. And you know, it is what it is. So we work. So, obviously you learn over time that you know who you need to work with. And we work with people who want to work with us. Not only the key here is they have to be coachable. In order to be a leader, you have to be a follower. but you have to be a good follower before you become a good leader. Everybody wants to be a leader, but nobody wants to follow.
Mhm.
So how is that going to work? So we realize that, sometimes this is where you have to, weed through. And any successful person will tell you this. You can't work with everyone.
Mm.
Not because everyone may not be at the same level that you are. So you have to basically do one step at a time, work with them and understand and work through it. Does that make sense?
Yes, 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 yes. So I know as a business person, anybody who's starting their own business, I lift my hat up to them because it's so much harder, especially initially in the embryonic stage of the business, that things can get rough. It's not like just going on a job and whether you work yes or no, you still get paid. But
Hmm.
as a business person, there are challenges. Can you
Yes,
tell me, was there any challenges while you're working? Tell me, give me at least two
absolutely. So the challenge is
experiences.
for me, when I was working the business, you know, when you start a business, because sometimes we're not in a financially good place and we get beaten up for so long, we forget our self-worth. And so as you're doing business and you're helping people, sometimes we don't charge them. But then we have to remember that we have to eat.
Hmm.
And then people, what happens is, I always say when you start off wrong, it doesn't end up right.
Right.
Because as you're making the corrections and you're saying, well, okay, I helped you for this period. Now I'm going to have to start charging you. They start getting upset with you. And it's like, well, what happened to all those years when I didn't charge you, but I was still helping you? I still had to make ends meet. And see, this is where you learn and then you have to make a decision. Do you cut that loose and start over? And sometimes you have to do that. And that's hard for a person like me because, you never want it to be all about the money. But I hate to say this. At the end of the day, we do this for the money, not not because we are in love with the money, but it's because while we're here on earth, we need the money.
Yes.
And that's what's going to help us get through. And
Right.
what we're hoping is we make enough so that we can help others. Because, see, I want to be able to make enough that I never have to worry about money anymore. So that, guess what? I can give back more time and I can actually give the time where I don't have to charge it. But I have to put myself in that position first. And
Hmm.
sometimes I feel we do that backwards, where we do that first and not see our value and our worth. And that was one major challenge. And I'm so glad that I partnered with my partner because he taught me, and a very good friend of mine. She actually works with me. Her name is Rexanne Roundtree. Um, she has been a tremendous inspiration for me because I've learned so much from her,
Hmm.
and when you have these great resources that you can tie in on, I mean, you have no idea how that makes you successful. And it's not with the money, because money is just one part of success. It's the growth in you as a person, number one, and number two, building your self worth.
Yes. 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 So, you said yes, things get rough sometimes. Can you remember any instance where things was rough and you needed something and you maybe
Absolutely.
tell me?
I remember when I was working at the grocery warehouse, I was making $1,400 a week after taxes. Not bad money. This was back in 2007. And I remember after I got my ankle cut off and I was home, you're living on 60% of your workman's comp. And I didn't get workman's comp right away because the company was fighting me. So we had no income. I remember we were in foreclosure at the time with our house. And I remember my wife, I never forget this day. It was the last $20 that we had, and I had to give it to my wife because she had to go to work. And I will never forget that day, being down to your last $20, you're in foreclosure, everything seems like it's crashing down on you. Your wife is saying to you, what are we going to do? And that's stressful because, now you feel the weight is compounded 100 times.
Yes.
And I remember just sitting there and, I teared up, um, and I remember crying, and asking, Jehovah for help. And did I get the instantaneous help instantaneously? No. But I also knew that, when one door closes, another door opens, and it's always a bigger door. So
Yes.
I just had to wait to go through. And so I had to surrender because I was not in control. And it was just so funny. It was so ironic. 3 weeks, 2 weeks. I think it was a week later. My workman's comp kicked in. Everything came retro, and it just everything just came all at once, and it was just so amazing, And but I never forgot that moment. I never forgot, what we went through, and that's one of many. It's
One of
one of
many.
many. So, I just say, I give thanks and praises.
So I heard you gave an experience somewhere about a car.
Yes.
Do you want to share that
So
one?
absolutely. So I don't
And
know how
let's
many
go
people.
back to the ankle situation after the
Yeah,
car,
sure.
please.
So the car situation, I started learning about the laws of prosperity, and you learned that also. And I apologize, we're not trying to make this biblical, but it is biblical.
It's okay. It's okay.
I mean, it is what it is. And so I started practicing the laws of prosperity, and it talks about, we're a child of the universe, we're a child of fortune. We are created by God in His own image, and we are His children, and we are entitled to His blessings, and but we have to ask for them. And so that's what practicing the law of prosperity is about. It's about practicing asking for and receiving.
Mhm.
So I remember, and you get so good at this after a period of time because you have to focus with your mind. When things go bad, you shouldn't be thinking of the worst thing first.
Mhm.
You should be thinking about, well, whoa, what could this turn into? See, that's what opens up because God is all positive. He's all positive. So um, I needed a car. My other car was dying on me, and I had put out to God, hey, listen, I need another car. And I was using the laws of prosperity. And so I put it out. So I'd reached out to a friend of mine. She owns a healthcare agency. So I know she had a fleet of cars. But
Mhm.
I also know that she probably was using it for her business. But I decided, let me ask her anyway. So I reached out to her and said, hey, listen, you have any cars? Because, my car's about to die. And I was doing some work for her, and she was like, no, I don't have anything. But I said, well, hey, if you do, let me know because, my car's on the fritz.
Mhm.
So I would say around 2 weeks later, she reached out to me. She sent me a text. She said, hey, I want you to look at this for me and tell me what you think. I'm like, okay, maybe she was talking about an additional work that she was going to give me or whatever. Anyhow, I got some pictures that I received of a car. And when I got it, it was like a Honda CRV of 2012, 2011, sorry. So I'm like, okay, she's showing me the pictures of inside and outside, and I'm like, well, I wonder if she's telling me about this car. So I called her and I said, hey, what's going on? She said, do you like it? So I said, yes, I do. She said, well, I want you to come now and come and look at it. Okay. And if you like it, you're just gonna work out the details with my husband. We know you. We know you're not going anywhere. We'll work it out. So I said, okay, all right. So I went, looked at the car. Of course, come on, beggars are not choosers. You know. So I went, looked at the car, and come on, hello, it had 50,000 miles on it. I mean, you can't even beat that. How are you gonna beat that?
50,000.
2011. So
Wow.
went with it. So it made arrangement. Was supposed to pay $500 a month till it was paid off, no interest, which was beautiful. So I got into my fifth payment, and I had helped her out with some stuff, but I thought nothing of it. Look, I'm just doing what I do and what I do best and what I love to do. And she got success from it, and she said to me, you know what, she called me and she said, hey, listen, I have something to share with you. We really had a great year, and you also helped us out a little bit, so we appreciate that. So what we want to do is we're going to gift you the car. And that was God answering parents.
Wow. And this didn't happen this year. Just
No, it
want
happened.
audience
It
to
happened
know.
the year before. Yeah, it happened the year before.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I've had the car what? No, actually 3 years. This would be 3 years now. Yeah,
Mhm, mhm.
3 years
And,
ago.
and you and you still
I
you
still have
still
the
have the
car.
car. Praise the Lord.
It has 114,000 miles on it now.
Whoa! So you cracked up over 50 on it. You really needed it, right?
Yes, absolutely. But you said
Oh,
go back to the story of the ankle. Go ahead.
yes, yes. Tell the audience about that ankle, your ankle situation.
So my ankle situation was I'm diabetic, and when the accident happened, they couldn't do surgery right away, so the ankle was off. They had it packed in ice, and the doctors did not want to put it back on because they claimed that because of my diabetes, I would have mega issues with it. So I terminated that doctor and requested another doctor.
Mm,
And I told him that, look, my son was born on the 5th of December. This accident today is the 20th of December, 15 days later. You're going to put my leg back on because I need to attend to my son.
mm.
And so they did the surgery. I did have complications, but I still have my leg and I no longer walk with a cane. Now, when it does get cold, it does act up,
Yes.
and I do have nerve damage, but I have my foot, and that's all that matters.
Wow. Wow. Sometimes you have to just stand up for yourself.
Yes.
Well, God stand up
If you
for you
don't
and
stand for something, you fall for
for
everything.
everything. Exactly. Exactly. Wow. What a day. So, before you go, tell us a little apart from the you talk about the financial prosperity um process that you go through by your thinking and all of that stuff. Give us at least 3 tips for someone who is really down financially,
Hmm.
and they're willing to rise again. It's not like they're depressed or anything, but they don't know what to do, but they're thinking of finding something to do. What would be your recommendation? Not necessarily what to do, but their mindset. What
Okay.
would you advise them to do?
Well, first things first. Number one, you have to look at your environment. Are you around people who are growing? Are you around people who are more successful than you? Because if you're not, and you're around the same crowd who are struggling and suffering just like you have nothing to look forward to. You have nothing to learn. So, and I really believe environment has a lot to do with everything, because you become a part of what you are around. So if you want to be a winner, you're going to hang around winners. If you want to be a turkey, you're going to hang around turkeys. So your environment is the first thing. The second thing is, how do you talk to yourself? Do you
Mm,
talk to yourself in a positive way? And then that leads me back now to forgiveness.
okay.
Okay, we've all made mistakes. We're not where we want to be, but have you forgiven yourself? And see, that's I realize that that's one of the biggest pieces is people don't forgive themselves. They continually beat themselves up. They continually put themselves down. They continually self-defeat themselves, and so they will never be able to rise. and that's because they're getting whispers from the devil. I hate to say that, but that's what it is. It's the devil. Again, the devil doesn't want us to win, so why would he be saying beautiful things about you? But what I want you to remember is this: the laws of prosperity is this way. We have such and please, I apologize. It's not to bring in religion. It's nothing like that. It's just once we understand the foundations. I'm just using some of the foundational structures when you say this. Once we understand how good of a God that we have, that He will forgive us for just about everything if we will surrender, be honest with Him, and let Him know our heart content, and that we're willing to repent. He will forgive us, and He will give us the strength to rise again. And He is willing and waiting to do that anytime you ask Him. Anytime. And once we realize this, we realize that, prosperity is open to us at any point. You know, we
And
can
it's not
start.
just financial, right?
No, prosperity is never just financial.
No,
It's
holistic,
love, it's money, it's gratitude, it's peace of
joy,
mind, it's
grateful.
health, it's abundance.
Mhm.
Prosperity is abundance in all areas. Don't you want to have a good relationship with your family? Don't you want to have a good relationship with your friends? Don't you want to live a long life? Don't you want to be healthy? Don't you want to not have to worry about money? That's prosperity.
Yes.
Now, if
Thank
you make prosperity only money, then that's
Mm.
all you have. You won't have the peace of mind. You won't have the family. And in my opinion, that's not true prosperity. I want it all. I want the
Yes.
health, the wealth, the happiness, peace of mind, friends, family, loved ones, even my pastors. I want them to be happy. I want
Mm.
them to enjoy peace of mind. And I want to have a wonderful relationship with them. So when I look at it from that standpoint, that's true prosperity.
Yes. Well, it was so great talking with you this morning, James,
Thank you
Mr.
for having me.
Figaro. Really, really good. I know you're running off to work now, but I want to thank you so much for taking the time and stopping here to talk with us at Express. The audience, I know they're listening intensely, and I know they have left here or they have gained something from what
Amen.
you've said. And most of all, they've learned not to give up because
Can't.
you don't
It's
give
not
up, do you?
optional.
You just keep going.
It's not optional.
Despite everything, you keep
Absolutely.
going. And that's I really, really admire that about you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much
Appreciate
for
it.
being here until so let us one moment. Okay. Yes, that was Mr. Figaro, James, as we always call him. What an experience. Wow. Just proves that, when you have your struggles, when you have your challenges, just keep going. You know, as soon as you just have to find something from inside to just keep going, and God will help you to keep going. I normally leave a thought, but today I'm just going to leave a simple one. It is said that your health is your greatest wealth. Your health is your greatest wealth. And another quote is said that your daily routine, the secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. The secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. Remember, like, subscribe, and share. Someone wants to hear this presentation this morning, so do so. So I'm just going to say bye bye now to everyone. It's Carolyn saying goodbye. Thank you.